Ask yourself, what is science? What do you think it is? To me, science is a system of inquiry that is supposed to convey to the layman and the public the best understanding of reality. Science is what allows the human genome to be decoded, man to go to the moon, and the mysteries of the quantum world to be unraveled.
Knowledge in medical science and science overall is doubling every 15 to 20 years. Technology is increasing at a comparable rate. Between them, the two already pervade, as most of you here seated realize, every dimension of human life.
Science is perhaps the greatest boon of the complex brain granted to us humans by our evolution. The quest to decipher the mysteries of reality is what has produced the brilliant minds of Newton, Faraday, Darwin, Turing, Einstein, Feynman, and Pinker. However, the beauty of the scientific paradigm is best expressed by Carl Sagan.
Science is not perfect. It's often misused. It's only a tool. But it's the best tool we have. Self-correcting, ever-changing, applicable to everything. With this tool, we vanquish the impossible.
Indeed, one can say that the achievements and discoveries it brought about are almost innumerable. We live in an age where there are vaccines for diseases and engineering technologies for spacecraft. With all the scientific breakthroughs that have taken place in the last century, one can truly say that we are in the golden age of scientific discovery. However, science and its methods have come under attack, as a survey done in early June of this year showed that 46% of Americans believe that humans were literally created within the last 6,000 to 10,000 years. This is not a surprise, as America has had many controversies, especially over the teaching of evolution in schools.
Amazing to think really about 1 in 500 Americans have already been to see this exhibition, even in its first year. That could have a lot of influence on opinion.
I believe the Earth as it is now, as we see it basically now, is about 6,000 years old.
Nobody's ever seen a dog produce a non-dog. I mean, you may get a big dog or a little dog, I understand, but you're going to get a dog, okay?
The true absurdity of the situation can be seen by replacing the Adam and Eve myth with any other creation myth. Izanami and Izanagi in the Shinto myth, Tepu and Gukamat in the Mayan creation myth, Apsu and Tiamat in the Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation myth, Kintu and Gulu in the Ugandan creation myth. Imagine having a mass denial of Kepler's laws of motion in favor of the belief that the planet moves on the back of a giant tortoise, or the mass denial of the theory of electricity in favor of the belief that Zeus causes lightning. The situation we are in is far worse than we are willing to imagine. According to another statistic by a survey conducted by ABC in 2004, 64% of Americans believe that the Genesis account of the Great Flood literally happened. From an objective standpoint, the silliness of the situation is so palpably obvious. It's hard to be desensitized to such a gross misappropriation of awe and reverence when it comes to the claims of certain books. The situation we are in is one in which 150 million people actually believe that if I took a video camera and went back in time 6,000 years ago, I would see Yahweh, the creator of the universe, taking a walk in the Garden of Eden, calling out to Adam, "Where are you?" as described in Genesis 3. Fundamentalist hypocrites talk about how the church is being desensitized to cultural liberalism, when the real irony is that they are desensitizing our culture to the psychosis that it embraces when it comes to fundamentalist religion.
And what happens if you breathe in and out very fast through nostrils which are only as thick as this pencil? Guess what? Your nose catches on fire.
The vehement attack on the science by these evangelical know-nothings has gone so far as to amass funds for a $27 million museum in Kentucky that indoctrinates kids into believing mythology over science.
And evolution is the idea some people have to explain life without God.
It is this same reactionary propaganda spewed in defense of antiquated fables that has confused many Americans and bilked the public into believing many of these lies, strawman, and factual misrepresentations.
There are no transitional forms.
By the way, the missing link, it's still missing. It's still missing. Still missing. Still missing. Still missing. Still missing.
Creationists repeatedly ignore the evidence for evolution that we see in ourselves. For example, our appendix, wisdom teeth, nipples, endogenous retroviruses, ancient repetitive elements, coccyx, and other things are anatomic and molecular vestiges that actually confirm our evolutionary ancestry.
Let's pretend I'm a believer in evolution for a moment. There's a big bang, life form begins, and over millions of years a dog evolves. It's the first dog. He's got a tail, legs, teeth, eyes, and it's good that he's got eyes because he needs to look for a female. He's been blind for millions of years, but now he can see. He's got to find a female.
No. Evolution happens in populations, not in individuals, so a population of a basal species will still exhibit the genetic diversity for change to take place. The reason the first dog would have the features that it did is because they would be the result of mutations that would be beneficial in the environment that it grew up. For example, when birds diverged from dinosaurs in the late Jurassic period, there was a decreasing functionality of their saurian features because they were evolving new avian features that enabled them to survive and pass on certain beneficial mutations depending on their differential reproductive success. But natural selection allows for such occurrences to take place in order for the population to survive, so there can be beneficial, innocuous, or deleterious mutations, and thus a fair use for their saurian features diminishes. Another one of the ways in which these charlatans entrench the public in pseudoscience delusion is by commonly and purposely misusing the word theory when it's used in the scientific context.
Evolution is a theory, not a scientific fact as it's generally considered to be, and it's often portrayed by many of our school textbooks and in museums. In fact, if you want to be scientifically accurate about it, evolution doesn't even qualify to be a theory, despite the fact that it's the term most commonly used for it.
Evolution is a theory, as is gravity, electricity, atomic structure, chemistry, and music.
I believe dinosaurs or dragons were basically big reptiles that lived in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve. And there's lots of scientific evidence that backs that up.
If the theory of evolution was viable, then I should, occasionally, by subjecting this to energy, end up having new life. Now we go down to the store, and if I open this jar of peanut butter, maybe not often, but on some occasion, I should find new life inside. And so, when we open the jar of peanut butter, we look in there, there's no new life. And aren't you glad? Okay? Now, you may smile at this, but hopefully you'll never forget it, because you and I conduct, collectively, over 1 billion experiments every year, and we've done that for virtually 100 years. And we never encounter new life. In fact, the entire food industry of the world depends on the fact that evolution doesn't happen.
this belief obviously does not exist in isolation. It's not an accident that 44% of Americans also want creationism taught in the schools and evolution no longer taught. See, actually 62% of Americans want creationism taught in the schools, but 44% want it taught exclusively. I mean, we're building a civilization of ignorance.
Nothing becoming something, blowing up and becoming an organized everything, just doesn't fit logic to me.
Satan told Eve that she could be like God. And that's what people believe today. They believe they started as an earthworm. That earthworm, or the first single-celled organism, evolved into monkeys eventually, and that turned into humans, and we're evolving and getting stronger and bigger and better. It's Satan.
I'll show you 100 reasons why evolution is so stupid.
All the way from Canada, professor and science researcher Ian Juby.
Do you believe in evolution?
I do not. I believe I came from God, not from a monkey, so the answer is no.
You gotta say that.
Well, we're on the air.
Well, then I...
Well,
really, you don't believe it?
This is a sick old world.
In the war of ideas that has taken place between the conclusions of science and the religious frameworks, none has been so vehement as the one that has taken place ever since Darwin published his groundbreaking observations. The myriad of straw men these willingly ignorant know-nothings have issued against the theory of evolution have all been disproven and or discredited in a court of law, peer review, and even both. In the 150 years since the inception of the evolutionary model of biology, no such anomalies have been found in the theory that would be indicative of any supernatural creation over biological evolution. There is no controversy, and there has been not one for the past 150 years. However, the United States of America, the most industrialized country in the world, has the second lowest acceptance rate for evolution, behind Turkey. In this age where we have gone into space, 46% of us still believe in an Iron Age creation myth. This is a frightening percentage. The type of percentage that should be risible in any society advanced enough to invent a toothbrush. The evidence for creation is inevitably non-existent, and the proposition of creationism is always unsubstantiated. Evolution is a fact evident in our genome and in the fossil record until the creationists present evidence for their case rather than their blind speculation and willful ignorance. There is no controversy, and never has been.
You lose!